All right, so these are the questions that we are going to try in today's video. If you have tried it already from the thumbnail, good enough. If you haven't, you can pause the video at this point and try it once before you look into the solutions. We recommend you doing that. But if you just want to enjoy the solution, that's also good enough. And go ahead and watch the solutions now. The question is pretty simple. The only thing you should be careful while you're solving this question is to identify the denominators properly. What do we mean by denominators? It's basically what is the percentage of. So for example, it says they assembled 20% of the displays during the first hour. Then it says 50% of the remaining displays during the second hour. So you should read these kind of things carefully. Of what? Never make a mistake on this part. Let's quickly figure this out. There's nothing too much to this problem. So in the first hour, we are assembling 20% of the displays. So there are 80% remaining. In second hour, we are finishing 50% of the remaining displays. Now we already figured this out. So it's 50%, sorry, 50% of 80% of the displays, right? And 50% of 80 is 40%. So basically what we have is 40% in the second hour. Now it says in the fourth hour, they assembled 25% of what was remaining after the second hour. Again, denominator is important. Of what? So it is 25% of whatever was remaining after the second hour, not the third hour. So after the second hour, we have completed 60% of the total, which implies we are left with 40% after the second hour. And we are assembling 25% of this. So 25% of 40 is 10. So in the fourth hour, we are basically assembling 10% of the displays or something. So in the context of the question, what we have to figure out, what percentage of the total displays was assembled in the third hour. So we have to find the percentage of the total displays, and every value that I've recorded here is out of the total only. So now we can simply take a difference from 100%. So these three are adding up to 70% of the total. So that leaves 30% to be assembled in the third hour. So pretty straightforward question. All you have to be careful in this particular question is to identify the denominators properly. What is each and every percentage of? That's all you have to be careful on. And that's it. You will always get the correct answer in this case. So that's it for this question. Hopefully everything was understood. In this question of profit and loss, there are multiple parties involved, as well as multiple types of transactions are happening. So first of all, understand that. So there's a wholesaler who is offering 1 kg of mangoes free for every 15 kg purchased by the retailer. So the wholesaler is selling to the retailer, right? So the wholesaler is selling to the retailer and he's making this offering. So 1 kg free for every 15 kg purchased. In addition to that, there is a discount of 10% on the marked price of the mangoes. So when it says marked price of the mangoes, it means let's say marked price of those 15 kg of mangoes. The retailer is getting an additional discount of 10% on the mangoes. The 1 kg of mangoes are anyhow free, but then that is additional discount he obtains from the wholesaler. Sorry. Now, finally, it says the retailer purchases 15 kgs of mangoes and sells everything at the marked price to a customer. Now, please understand, when the retailer is purchasing 15 kg of mangoes, he's actually getting 16 kilo because there is a 1 kg mangoes free. Also, he is getting a discount of 10% from the wholesaler, right? So I'm not going to overcomplicate here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to consider the 15 kg marked price to be, let's say, 1500. Now, the context is retailer. This is what you have to understand. Whenever there's a profit and loss, you have to understand whose profit, whose loss are we concerned about. So in this case, when it says find his profit percentage, it is talking about the retailer who is purchasing as well as selling, right? So from the retailer's point of view, he bought 16 kg of the mangoes at 10% discount on this price, isn't it? Because this is a marked price of 15 kg. he gets 1 kg free, and additionally he gets a 10% discount on this price. So that is 1350. This is his cost price of 16 kg of mangoes. Now he sells everything, by the way. So when he sells everything, he has purchased a total of 16 kg, rightly. So when he's selling, he is selling 16 kilo. Now the price at which he sells is the rate of the marked price, the marked price rate, right? So 15 kg marked price is 1500. So 16 kg marked price should be 1600. So 1350, 1600, there's a profit of 250 out of 1350. That should be the profit percentage. Now coming to the calculation bit, so you can cancel out 50 out here, or if you are finding trouble to do that, just double the numerator and denominator. You get 500 by 2700, where the 00 goes off, and then you have something like 5 by 27. So this converted to percentage will be 500 by 27%. So if you don't want to work out how much this is, because in the options you can find it's given in fractions, just notice the denominator here. There's a 27 out here, and in the 500 you don't have any multiples of 3. So this is not possible any which way. The only feasibility is this one. If this doesn't work out, then it has to be none of these. So just work the other way around. So just calculate 27 into 18 plus 14 and check whether that comes out to be 500 or not. So basically I'm instead of converting this improper fraction to the mixed fraction, I'm checking whether this mixed fraction is as good as this improper fraction or not. So just the other way around. So just work this one. 27 into 18 is 27 into 20 minus 27 into 2. So 540 minus 54 plus 14 is actually 500. So this validates. So option C should be the answer here. Calculation bit, you can work out any which way you are comfortable. So if you want to directly convert, that is also not tough to do in this case. 500 by 27, you can convert, you will find it is coming out to be 1814 by 27. But yeah, I hope the main idea was understood. Couple of things always keep in mind. Understand the context of the question, whose profit, whose loss we are concerned to figure out. And also make sure in this case, for example, the quantity was already becoming equal because he's selling everything. That's what it mentioned in the question. But if it is not mentioned, and there's another viewpoint, whenever you're calculating profit percentage or loss percentage, you have to ensure that the quantity is kept equal. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. So keep that in mind and just solve it accordingly. So that's it. That's all from my end for this question. Hopefully everything was understood. This is a question in compound interest, simple interest, which on the first glance will seem a little calculative in nature, but you can handle it very smartly. First of all, let's read the important part. So sum of money is tripling in 4 years and 2 months under a certain rate of simple interest. Now the rate of interest is halved and charged as compound interest per annum. Then in approximately how many years the same initial sum doubles itself. So there are two parts to it. So from the first information, we have to figure out the rate of interest in the simple interest part. And then we have to half it and use compound interest and figure out how many years it takes to double the money. So let's work out with the first information. So the sum of money is tripling itself in 4 years and 2 months. So let me convert this to months first of all. So 4 years is 48 months, and then 2 months additionally is 50 months in total. So in 50 months, since the sum of money is tripling, it implies that there is a 200% interest generated, right? Forget the principal in the sum. So ignore the principal. So you have double of the principal as the interest, right? So 200% interest generated. So each month there will be 4% interest because it's simple interest. So in 1 year, that is 12 months, there will be 48% interest generated, right? So just simple, unitary method, we can apply this because it's simple interest. So this is the rate of interest under the simple interest part. And according to the question, in the compound interest, this rate becomes half of whatever we had. So the rate becomes 24%, right? And we are looking for approximately how many years the same initial sum doubles itself. So first of all, I'll just calculate for 2 years. I'll use the successive percentage change idea. So in the first year, there's an influx of 24%. And in the second year, over and above that, there's a additional 24%, right? So overall, the change will be 24 plus 24 plus 24 into 24, 24 square by 100. This is 576 by 100, 5.76, and this is 48. To be precise, this is 53.76%. So in 2 years, we are getting a net interest of 53.76%. In order to double the money, so we need to double the amount. So in order to double it up, we need 100% interest, isn't it? So obviously, I mean, if in 2 years you're getting a 53.76% under compound interest, in 4 years it is definitely going to be double of, I mean, you definitely should have 100% of the interest, right? Even if this was simple interest and you had 53.76% in 2 years, in 4 years you would have another 53.76%. It's compound interest, so it should be definitely more than that. Because we don't have 3 years in the option, so this becomes a little simple to understand, and we can directly mark the answer as 4 years, because obviously in 2 years we are not getting 100% interest, and in 4 years it should definitely give us 100% interest. So the answer for this question should be 4 years. So I hope everything was understood. It's a pretty straightforward question. Just the way you are calculating that, that gives you an edge over the time part. So if you solve it smartly, it is nothing to do actually in this question. I hope everything was understood. We have a very nice mixtures problem. We are going to handle this in the smartest way as we can. Now, first of all, let me highlight the important parts. Yes, there's a beaker which contains a solution of acid and water to begin with in a certain ratio, whatever. Now, first part, if 14 ml of acid is added to the solution, then the concentration of acid becomes 60%. So don't miss this out. So the concentration of acid becomes 60%. On the other hand, if 14 ml of water is added to the solution, then the concentration of water becomes 75%. So again, do not misread these kind of things. So the water concentration becomes 75% in the second scenario. Now we are looking for the concentration of acid in the original acid water solutions. Notice one important thing, and that is the part, if you understand, then this becomes a little easy to analyze and figure out. So in the first scenario, we are adding 14 ml to the acid, 14 ml of acid to the solution. Second scenario, we are adding 14 ml of water to the solution. Forget about what is added, acid or water, whatever. But we are always adding 14 ml. So that's a constant increase in the volume, right? So let's consider the original solution, whatever we have. On two scenarios, on one scenario, we are adding 14 ml of acid to it. On another scenario, we are adding 14 ml of water to it, right? Now, final volume of this solution as well as this solution should be equal, right? So these two should have total volume equal. That should naturally occur to you because you are starting with the original solution, and one scenario you're adding 14 ml of whatever to it. On the other scenario, you're also adding 14 ml of whatever to it. So the total volume should also be equal for the two scenarios. So let me just work with the ratios out here. Now let me take the second part of the information, each of them, that is. So we have acid and water. So in the first scenario, so look at this part, acid becomes 60%, right? So if acid is 60%, water is 40%. So there is a ratio of 3:2. So I'm just noting the ratio out here. On the other hand, if 14 ml of water is added to the solution, the concentration of water becomes 75%. So the water is 75%, this is 75%, then acid should be 25%. So that should be 1:3, right? So in this scenario, you have a ratio of 1 and 3, 1:3, that is. Now, as I said, we have to make the total volume equal in both of these. So let us work with these numbers to begin with. So we have 3 and 2, so that is a total of 5. We have 1 and 3, so that's a total of 4. So let me just make these two equal. So in order to make these equal, I need to multiply a 4 here and a 5 here. So let me do that. So I multiply a 4 here and a 4 here, a 5 here and a 5 here, right? Now check this 14 ml thing here. Please understand one very interesting idea. So initially, let's say we have some A ml of acid and W ml of water. So in this scenario, this is A plus 14 and this is W. On the other hand, this is A and this is W plus 14, isn't it? What I mean to say is this two numbers should have a difference of 14 and these two numbers should have a difference of 14 because in this part we have added acid, water is unchanged. In this part we have added water, but acid is unchanged, right? So these two numbers should have a difference of 14 and these two numbers should have a difference of 14. So here we have 12 and 5, so that's a difference of 7. So further double it up. So let's double this and double this. And same thing should be happening here also because we cannot change the ratio any which way. Just check this out. So this is 8 and this is 15. So there's a difference of 7. So in order to make a difference of 14, we have to double this up as well as double this up. Now work with either one of them. So if you check this number, so that is 3 into 4 into 2. So that is a total of 24. So if 24 ml of acid is what we have here, after adding 14 ml of acid, so originally, so in the original solution, the acid should be 24 minus 14, which is 10 ml, or you can just directly focus on this number. By the way, this is the original acid and this is the original water. So you can just take these two numbers directly if you want. And the water also you need to figure out. So this should be 2 into 2 into 4. So that is 16 ml. So we have acid 10 ml and water 16 ml in the original solution. We are looking for the concentration of acid in the original solution. So that will be 10 upon 26, which is 5 by 13 calculated as percentage. 5 by 13 is slightly more than 5 by 15, which is 1/3. So it is more than 33.33%. There is only one such option. So that should give you the answer straight away. So if you handle with these parts carefully, you don't actually have to use variables. And this is a very fast process. If you understand these kind of ideas, these ideas are used in a lot of different problems. So I've explained these things in a lot of actual CAT problems and variations of them in our lessons and all. Just playing with the numbers instead of taking variables and over complicating equations and everything. Very fast, very logical, and something which should be intuitively understood by everybody. So that's it from my end for this particular problem. I hope everything was understood. Thank you. Hopefully you liked the solutions we provided for these questions. And if you did like it, do not forget to like the video and share, subscribe and comment. Do subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon. In that case, you'll get notification as soon as we upload a new video. And if you want to check a bouquet of courses that we provide, so we have a huge variant of courses from customizability to full preparation. You can check our website, www.mathoratory.com. I'll leave the link in the description below. And have an enjoyable preparation ahead. Welcome to the Math Oratory family and have a good exam ahead.